Hey guys, SuperHorrorBro Mike here, and in today's video, we are playing through Bendy and the Ink Machine chapters 1 to 5, the entire game, to find all of Henry's secret messages. Now, in chapter 5, if you didn't know, you get this tool which is basically like a looking glass, and Henry can use this to find messages left by himself in a previous version of the sort of time loop that is happening at the studio, it seems, and he can basically uncover what's happened in the story before when he plays through the game again, or when he goes through the story again, I should say. Now, I've made a theory on all of this, guys. I'll leave a link at the end of this video and also in the description below, but if you want to go and check that out, I would advise it because it will give you the information you need to then follow this video and understand why Henry is leaving messages to himself. But the basic idea behind that is that Henry is stuck in an infinite loop within a cartoon world inside the studio created by the Ink Machine, and I believe that he is actually dead, and Joey Drew has sent his soul, so to speak, to inhabit this place to try and stop Demon Bendy. Joey seems to be controlling it to some degree with the ideas he comes up with, hence why he seems to be telling a story in this world. Haven't explained it that well there, guys, but there is a whole theory up on my channel where I go into detail explaining my points, so check that out. But I do also believe, I want to touch on this quickly, that the ending to Bendy and the Ink Machine is kind of open to interpretation. With that said, guys, we're going to dive in now. I'm going to show you all the messages in Bendy and the Ink Machine left by Henry to himself, and we're going to analyse and theorise over each of them, so let's start the game. Okay guys, so we're in the opening area of chapter 1, and if we bring up our looking glass tool, you can see there's already many messages all over the walls to analyse. Now the first one says turn back. Obviously Henry is trying to say to himself, look, you know, this is an infinite loop, there's no way you can succeed here, so just turn back. And interestingly here, you can see all these markers on the wall, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4 and a 5 through them. There seems to be hundreds here on this wall. These are what I believe are Henry's attempts to succeed as he goes through this infinite never-ending loop, but he can never seem to win. So he's been through this cartoon world this many times. If we look at the Boris poster here, you can also see it says, "I'm sorry, buddy," because obviously Henry didn't manage to save Boris in the end, and he never can. You know, he keeps going through this repeating loop, but he never saves Boris. I think there's a message I saw here. Yep, it says... oh, it's upside down. It says, "Don't turn on the machine." Let's just check it out from the other side there, guys. There you go. Don't turn on the machine. And it points going back to the exit. Right, let's have a look around here then. So we've got Joey Drew Studios. Has this got anything on it? Yep. It says nothing. Joey Drew nothing. So that's probably a reference to the fact that the studio is now closed down, and this isn't the actual studio. Obviously this is like a cartoon world created by the Ink Machine, I believe, from Joey's sort of ideas. It says he was born here, so this is Henry's desk. This kind of confirms, guys, that Henry was in fact the original creator of Bendy. As you can see, Bendy's right there. He was born here. That's Henry's original design for Bendy, which was rejected by Joey Drew. Okay guys, so we're in the artist room here. There doesn't seem to be anything around the desk area, but if you go down here and look through the boards to this room with a toilet, it says, "Can I get a little privacy?" So little I wonder how Henry got through these boards though to write that. That's a strange one, but I think it's just a little joke, isn't it? So that's quite a nice little joke there. Let's head on to the Ink Machine next. Death in every direction. There you go, so Henry knows what's up. And this says dreams come true. Has this changed? Yep, it says not all dreams come true. Henry's dream of escaping never comes true, that's for sure. And Alice's dream never came true either. She had quite a somber, sad ending, didn't she? Okay guys, so we've just raised the Ink Machine, and there's also a secret message here which says, "There never was a choice." There never was a choice. So Henry knows that, you know, he's forced into this world and he's deemed, and he's sort of damned to keep repeating the process. This never-ending loop that he can never succeed at. Let's continue, guys. That obviously scared a lot of people when they first played the game, that plank of wood just dropping down. So if you look at the wall there, it says, "Don't be scared." Don't be scared, Henry. You can do this. You got this. I wonder if there's any secret messages in this room. You'd think there would be. The Boris room.
Joey, what were you doing?
Ah, yes. Look, it says she's heartless, so I guess that's confirmation that it was in fact Suzie Campbell's version of Alice that was taking the hearts from all these Boris clones. I mean, we kind of already knew that, but it is confirmed here that our Boris clone theory was correct, and our Alice theory was correct. Taking all those hearts to make herself beautiful again. Here you go, listening and always watching, guys. So there's a little message above that radio relating to the song on the radio. So that's kind of a little Easter egg, I guess. But it also references Sammy, of course. As we know, Sammy's always traveling through the walls and listening to what Henry's doing and watching him from the inky walls. So that's kind of also a reference to Sammy, I believe, there. Now there's actually quite a fun little secret around here, guys. When the Bendy jump scare happens, there you go. And if you use the looking glass, it says peekaboo. So I liked that when I first found that. There's Bendy propped up against the wall, scaring us. Sammy's footprints leading. Whoa, that scared me then. Leading to the wall. Also interesting that this whistle is the whistle that Joey does at the end of the game when you see him. So you can see everything ties together nicely. It's all a creation of Joey Drew, a sort of living cartoon world. Now one thing I do want to check, guys, when I activate the ink machine here, is to go and find the Meatly secret, because I think there might be a secret message there. When I originally ran through this and I checked for the secrets, I don't think I saw the Meatly secret, so let's just double check that. There he is.
What the heck is this?
Hello, Meatly. Great game, man. Devilishly handsome. Oh, there you go. No shame. Don't know if I'd call this little puppet guy handsome, but distinct, I'd say. Let's go with that. Run, Henry, run, escape, change your fate. But he can't. He says, I always fall. He never succeeds. He always falls every single time because it's an infinite loop. When he plays the end, at the end of the game, the final reel, it just resets everything. And he's reborn again at the start. Okay, guys, so this one, the creator lied to us, has one of the more interesting messages left there by Henry. It says, Joey lied to us. You can see there, Joey lied to us. So this kind of proves the theory that Joey was the person behind all of these kind of crazy experiments that were going on at the studio, as well as duping everybody into taking part in it, Henry included now, as he's been sent there to stop this sort of crazy process, it seems. And yeah, Joey is the architect behind everything. The creator, Joey, head of the studio, lied to everyone. So there you go. And that's every message in Chapter 1, guys, so let's fast forward to Chapter 2. Okay, guys, so we're in Chapter 2 now. Now, the first message that we get is on this wall here, and it says, say hello to Sammy. So, again, just Henry giving himself a little heads up that he is going to run into Sammy during this chapter, Sammy Lawrence. And by the way, I really loved that Sammy Lawrence came back in Chapter 5, as we had predicted a while ago. I think that was a really nice touch. Really appreciated that fan service. Well, I guess it's part of the story, but it seemed like good fan service as well to me. Anyway, if we pan over here, guys, we see... This is a cool reveal, right? On these coffins, we'd been theorizing for ages how these coffins were related to the bodies of the workers at the studio being inside and being used in the ink machine process to basically turn them into cartoon versions of their former selves alongside a template of a cartoon character. And that is confirmed here. We can see Norman Polk has a coffin here, and Grant Cohen has a coffin here. Now, I'm not sure what Grant Cohen became, so to speak. He may have been the giant searcher in Chapter 3, maybe. As we did hear his audio log in Chapter 4, what we believe his audio log was, where he was sort of screaming in pain. I think that was meant to be Grant. So he may have been that giant searcher. We know Norman Polk, of course, became a projectionist, though. Okay, so if we go over to these coffins, guys, we can see two more names. Bertram Piedmont, that is his resting place, and Lacey Benton, that's her resting place. Of course, Lacey shows up in Chapter 4 as an engineer in the research and design department. Now, if we go over here, guys, we can see another message which says deceived above the Sammy Lawrence recording. It shows that Sammy had been deceived, and Henry notes it down here by Joey as well, just like everyone else. Okay, guys, so we're in the music department. We've just met the searchers for the first time. And if we go over here, just kill this searcher quickly. And you'll see there's a message saying ouch there, which is, I guess, a double meaning because you hit the searcher there, but also that's where Henry gets knocked out by Sammy with a frying pan. Or is it the dusting? I think it's a dust pan, isn't it? Yeah, with a dust pan later on in the chapter. So there you go, little sort of Easter egg there. Now guys, if we go through into the recording room, you can see this room here, where they record all the music for Bendy cartoons. This one I actually really liked. Now, there's a recording for Suzie Campbell, and once we play it, there's a little message here, which says, "So naive." Because of course, Suzie Campbell was deceived multiple times by Joey Drew. I think Suzie was the first project. She was turned into Alice Angel, a less than perfect version. But she was promised by Joey Drew that she could become the character she was so in love with. So, a sad end for Suzie, but as you can see, a message left by Henry there. Okay guys, so we're in the room where you flatten the little searcher guy, Jack Fane, with the hat on to get the valve handle back. And you see this message says, "Sing with me." Now, if you use the looking glass here, it says, "I don't sing with psychos." So, Henry flat out denies Sammy. He's like, "Nope, I'm not singing with you because you're crazy." So there's a nice little message left there. Okay guys, so as we go into Sammy Lawrence's office and activate the pump control, you'll see that there's this radio here guys, which is the DA game song of Build Our Machine. And then if you look down, you'll see there's a line from that song, "Creator, you traitor." So it's a nice little Easter egg to do that song. It also, of course, is a double meaning again. It confirms that Joey Drew betrayed everyone at the studio. So there you go. Okay guys, we've just got to the part of chapter 2 where we approach Demon Bendy and he pops up from the ink. And there's actually a little message here which sort of is a warning Henry has left to himself, and it says, "Boo!" And then you've got to run now because Demon Bendy just jumped out and scared us. But I like that. I think that's quite clever. That's our final message for chapter 2, guys. So let's move into chapter 3. Okay, guys. So we're just starting chapter 3. And the first thing to notice here is that Bendy has taken on a different form on this clock here. Sort of Henry warning himself that Bendy is not friendly and wants to kill us. You know, we kind of knew that, but I think this is quite cool. I guess Henry had quite a lot of time to sort of doodle while he was in this safe house with Boris, didn't he? Now, as we leave this room, guys, and we move into the sort of bathroom area here, you can see there's this broken mirror, and I always wondered why this is broken. This is actually really interesting to the story. If we bring up the looking glass, it says, "Who am I now? Who am I now?" So Henry's sort of saying, you know, what have I become? He looks like he's the one that smashed this mirror. Or of course, it could be the Boris clone, guys. I believe the Boris clone is Wally Franks in this chapter. I believe that's what happened to Wally. Has a lot of the qualities of Wally, doesn't he? But I believe this is Henry's doing, because he's obviously left a message. It could mean that Henry's become a cartoon version of his former self, which is likely seeing as he's living in this cartoon world. And it could be because the version of the story changes slightly each time Joey tells it in the real world. So there's many possibilities for what this could mean, guys, but obviously things are altering a little bit each time, and Henry's appearance is altered in some way. Also, he may have sort of no memory of his previous life outside of key memories such as Linda, who we believe to be his wife, and of course the reason he came to the workshop in the first place. Apart from that, his memory may be quite muddled because most of the characters in this game seem to have no real memory of who they were beforehand. So it's very interesting to say the least, and there's a lot to theorise on here. Now, as we go through into this room, guys, and we run over to our good friend Boris here, there's actually quite a sad message. It says, "I'm sorry, buddy," once again, as it did on the wall in chapter 1 by the Boris poster. It's because we can never save Boris, unfortunately. I'm sorry, buddy. Now, if we go over to this picture, this one's interesting as well. This is a picture that exists inside Joey Drew's home, and of course, as Joey and Henry were friends, this reminds him of home. He may have had the same picture in his own home, guys. Who knows? But it reminds him of the real world, I believe. The human world. He's now trapped in the cartoon dimension, in the cartoon world created by the ink machine. And this picture just reminds him of home. Adds to our theory. Okay, guys, so what we're going to do here is, this isn't related at the moment to a sort of hidden message, but it will be later on. If you give Boris the bone in chapter 3 here, something happens with Thomas Connor in chapter 5, which I'll show you a little later. So here's the bone, Boris. Enjoy. Okay guys, so there's actually only one message in the Heavenly Toys workshop area, which is kind of surprising because it's quite a large area, but the only message is actually up here where we see the Sean Flynn audio recording. And of course this recording is by Jacksepticeye, the Irish YouTuber. So when you raise the looking glass, it says top of the morning to ya. Well, it just says top of the morning. But yeah, so that's quite neat. You can maybe see it better here if we step back a little bit. But yeah, there you go. Top of the morning. Nice little Easter egg there. As we approach the demon and angel paths, there's actually two options obviously, but there's only one way which takes you to a secret message. I have checked both. The Alice Angel path does not give you any new messages, but if you go into the demon path to Joey Drew's room here with his audio recording, you'll see it says, his dream, my effort. So Henry's obviously referencing the fact that, as we know from his audio recording, he put in most of the effort and then Joey got all the rewards and just came up with the ideas. We know that Joey was a man of ideas and only ideas. As we go through to the sort of toy shop room here, and if we go round these shelves and to the back of the room where the Alice Angel toys are sat on this shelf, the little plushies, there's actually a hidden message here, and it says we're all his playthings. So this is interesting because it kind of suggests that this theory that I came up with about the ending is indeed true, that Joey's created this cartoon world with the souls of his previous workers as the characters inhabiting the world, and they're sort of his playthings because he's basically coming up with ideas and storyboards for what happens in this world, and they're all trapped inside it. So an interesting little note to be sure there. I think this is the crazy thing about the ending in this game. There was just so much to take in and so much to theorize over that there's just many possibilities for what the ending actually may be. Okay guys, so as we head into the main room here with the elevator, there's actually a message down there. It says we always fall, because obviously the elevator always drops at the end of a chapter and plunges them into the depths of the studio, always part of this never-ending loop. Henry can never escape his fate. Okay guys, so when we're in the central room here with all the dead Boris clones, where we're on our way to meet Suzie Campbell's version of Alice, we can actually see next to Susie's audio recording, if we come round here, there is actually a coffin. Now when we use the looking glass on this coffin, we can actually see that it's Susie's own coffin, so it does confirm that Suzie was killed by Joey or by someone at the studio working for him, and then used in the ritual process to become the version of Alice that we find behind the door here, Evil Alice. Also guys, if you walk over to the other side of a room where the Butcher Gang members are strung up here, you can see the message which says, did they really deserve this? And, you know, it's kind of a good question, I guess, because these were all workers once, I assume, who have been resurrected as different cartoon characters, and so, you know, they weren't inherently bad, they just obviously are defensive because they're brought back without any memory, and now they attack anyone who they deem a threat, which includes Henry, unfortunately. And you can see that with the Lost Ones as well when they attack in chapter 5 because they feel threatened, whereas they don't in chapter 4, because at that point Henry's not carrying a weapon and so it doesn't feel threatening to them. And here guys, we can see Suzie Campbell's version of Alice talking to Henry, telling him what to do, what errands she needs carried out, and we can see Henry's written the message blah 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 because I guess he's sick of hearing this little monologue from Suzie Campbell every single time he goes through the game. He stood in front of Alice here, he's just like, I'm sick of this. So he's written blah 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 blah. I think that's quite funny. I liked this when I first saw this. I thought this was a nice touch. In this section, we're going to go up the stairs, and there's actually a message which spans from the ground floor here all the way up to the top floor. So let's see if we can find that now. It starts here. It says, be kind to the people you meet on the way up, because you're going to meet the same people on the way down. And what this basically means is no matter how rich or famous you get, don't let your ego go to your head and treat people worse than you normally would. You know, always treat people how you'd want to be treated yourself, with the utmost respect. And I kind of feel like this is a reflection of Joey's story. You know, he had this rise to fame and he treated everyone like garbage, and then of course it all came crashing down and he was bankrupt, and now all those people that he used, he's lower than they are in life. So it kind of reflects towards the game's story, but it's also just a famous proverb. And here guys, there is a little hidden radio which plays a song, of course. Above it, it says, how could one resist this? How could one resist playing the tune on the radio here? So as we go into this room here, guys, you can see at the very far end there are these drinks machines called Tasty Eats, hot and cold drinks. And it says, the drinks were on Joey. I don't really know what that means. I'm guessing it kind of means like, because he's done all this bad stuff to you, the drinks are on Joey, but like, I don't know. It's just a little message that it is a bit of fun, I think. Let's be honest, this game doesn't always take itself too seriously, which is a good thing. Now, when we're trying to get the power cells from these sort of pressure boxes on level P, there's actually a secret message below the pressure box which reads, and he says, "Why am I doing this?" I don't know if this is a reference to the fact that many people found this part of the game quite frustrating and annoying when they first played it, having to collect the power cells, having to turn these little valve handles. It's also probably a reference to the fact that Henry is just, you know, doing the same thing over and over and over and, you know, getting frustrated by carrying out the same sort of menial tasks for Alice every single time. Walk through the wall here and you get the little tea party with the Meatly. And the message says, 1 lump or 2. I actually don't drink sugar in my tea, so, or my coffee for that matter, so I would have no sugars. Okay guys, so with that said, that is every single message in Chapter 3 that I could find at least. So let's move on to Bendy Chapter 4. Okay guys, we're in Chapter 4 now, and we're going to be searching for some more recordings. There's none in this opening room. This hallway over, guys, there is one which says he can't be saved, which is obviously a reference to Boris, because Boris was just taken by Alice Angel, and yeah, he can't be saved because we know what happens at the end of the chapter. Suzie's Alice has always transformed Boris into this hideous sort of brute, which we have to take down. Sad end for him, really. Okay guys, the second message we come across is actually the secret Meatly cutout message. We go through here.
What the heck is this?
We can see that the Meatly is cooking up a couple of sausages, and then behind him on the wall it says beefy. Although I don't know why it says beefy if they're sausages, because I guess maybe you can get beef sausages, but sausages are generally from pig and they're pork, aren't they? So I would have thought it would say porky, because then it's a reference to Porky Pig as well, but for whatever reason it says beefy. So yeah, there's the second secret of the chapter, guys. Okay guys, so as we get off the little pulley sort of contraption that gets us across this little ravine here, or big ravine I should say, it's quite large, isn't it? There's a little box over here, and if we use the looking glass on the box, we see a little heart there on the side. This might confuse you a little bit if you haven't played the Portal games, but this is actually a reference to the box in Portal, which is called the Companion Cube. It has a little heart on the side, and I'm guessing the Meatly and the rest of the design team are a fan of the Portal games, so they've put this in as a little sort of homage to that, or a little Easter egg I suppose. I just really loved seeing this because Portal 1 and 2 are 2 of my favourite ever games, so to see this just appear in Bendy and the Ink Machine was a nice little surprise, nice little treat there. Okay guys, so as you come through into this giant room here, with all the staircases going all the way to the top, there's some broken stairs here, and I go down these stairs, use the looking glass here, and it says exit with a question mark. So Henry considered trying to get here. I know on my playthrough of Chapter 4 I tried to reach this in case it was a secret or some kind of alternate path, but you can't. So yeah, Henry's acknowledged that this could be an exit, but obviously it doesn't seem like it is. Now if we go up a bit higher, there's an Alice Angel poster up here, and the Alice Angel poster actually gives us another secret message. So we'll read that when we get to it in a second. It's just up here. Go over to this poster, use the looking glass, and it says, she's toying with you. Because of course, Alice has promised she will return Boris to us if we can reach him in time, but we know we'll never reach him in time. She's already transformed him into Brute Boris, so she's just playing with us, manipulating us like Joey manipulated Suzie. In the room here, guys, where we see the lost one appear on this little balcony area here, if we go around the back of this sofa here and use the looking glass here, it says, this is my favourite sofa. I don't think that's obviously anything story related, but I'm assuming because it's got a record player playing some nice music, some candle lights, and a teapot and a cup. So, you know, it's kind of a chilled out little room, isn't it? A nice little sofa where Henry can relax on his adventure. Sometimes maybe he takes a rest here, has a cup of tea, listens to some music, and just chills out to candlelight. As we walk up the stairs here, towards Bertram's little office area where they were designing Bendyland, we can actually see a message, guys, just behind Bertram's recording on this sort of wall of different Bendyland designs, and it says, regrets, Joey? and I assume this is just basically because we know from the end of the game that Bendyland was a thing that was created, but it was obviously something that failed, and Joey's plans to have real cartoon characters inhabit it didn't come to fruition until much later. Now, he has created these cartoon characters in this cartoon world, and now, again, it hasn't worked out. He's sent Henry in to try and stop it all. So Henry's basically just posing the question, regrets Joey, because he sunk all that money into Bendyland, but by the end of it, he was just in financial ruin and a crooked empire, as Joey refers to it. Okay, guys, so in the Bendyland area, if you go over to this giant bendy head, which is right next to the levers here, bring up the looking glass, you can actually see he's got a starry little moustache there. Well, it's quite a big moustache, but I found this quite funny when I first found it. I like that. It's kind of like modern art, isn't it? Okay, guys, now when we've just beaten the shooting game here, go through the door here, there's actually a message by the gear on the wall. It says, "Reliving the past does not change it." Henry must be leaving these messages to himself, obviously, as we've discussed, but he's basically saying, if we keep going through the adventure again and again and again, it's not actually going to, it's not actually going to change anything. You can't change the past, you can't change what's happened. So there seems to be no real escape for Henry, does there? Now, in the research and design area, guys, when we go through here, there are a couple of messages in this room. The first one can be found when we look at this crying lost one in the corner, which is quite sad. And Henry's left a message saying, "Please don't cry." I kind of feel like this might be Lacey Benton, because it's right next to the Lacey Benton recording. And it kind of sounds feminine rather than male for crying. So that could be Lacey right there. Now, by the Lacey recording, she actually mentions in this recording that she's scared that animatronic Bendy is going to just come to life and move of its own accord. If we go over here to the animatronic Bendy, Henry's actually left a message which says it never moves, which you can see a bit better if I walk over to it a bit better. Here you go. It never moves. So every time Henry goes through this, that never moves. It's always the same story, over and over again. Also, guys, on the top balcony overlooking the entranceway, which is there, you'll find a message which says, "Dream too big and you will fail," which is quite pessimistic, but I guess if Henry's been stuck in this sort of infinite loop for many, I don't know, years potentially, he's getting sick of having to do this adventure over and over and over again. It could also be referencing Joey's inner thoughts, I guess, because he dreamed really big and did fail. So this could actually be Joey's inner monologue almost. I mean, I wonder if this is what these messages are. Okay, guys, so we're heading through the third door that opens up now, around here. And this is the attraction storage. And as soon as we head into this room, guys, there is a message which says, "Again and again, around and around," which is just referencing Bertram's boss battle, which is the same every time. Okay, guys, so after we've beaten the Bertram boss, if you turn here to the Buddy Boris Railway, there's a little secret message here below that sign, which says, "Time wounds all heals." So it's usually time heals all wounds, but it's the other way around here. So it's basically saying that time is damaging everyone because we're all in this infinite loop. It's just getting worse and worse and worse. We can never solve anything with time because it would just begin again from the beginning. Okay, guys, so we're going into the maintenance area now where these sort of trains are, and the flooded room with Norman Polk's projectionist where he pops up once again. Now, we head into the back of this room where the Joey Drew audio recording is found. Do it very carefully so this projectionist doesn't see us, of course. And this message obviously shows that Joey Drew deceived everyone. He's been recording these propaganda messages to fool everyone at the studio into doing his bidding, basically. And Henry refers to this as, "That's the Joey I knew." The Joey that Henry knew was not a nice man by the sound of it. He started with good intentions but became corrupted. And that's the Joey that Henry knew and the Joey that this recording shows. Bendy's just taken down the projectionist. Guys, we're hiding the little miracle station at the moment. But obviously he disappears into nowhere. And when Henry exits and walks over to the wall that Bendy went through, if you use the looking glass, you'll see there's actually a door here, which is pretty cool. So Henry's drawn the door there knowing that, of course, Bendy has the ability to pass through walls and open sort of secret entrances all over the studio by simply passing through the ink. So there is Bendy's secret door that Henry has drawn onto the wall. I actually thought this was really cool. Okay guys, so as we go into the haunted house here, and we walk over to the back wall, it says turn back. If we use the looking glass, it says there's no turning back now. So Henry's basically saying, you're too late, you've gone too far, Henry. If you're at this point, you've already failed to change the events of the story, and there's no turning back. You're actually unable to use the looking glass in this room with Boris, guys, or on the ride for that matter. So there wasn't any more recordings in Chapter 4, but I just wanted to let you guys know that this room doesn't hold any secrets as far as I can tell. So we're going to move to Chapter 5 and look for the last secret messages left by Henry in that final chapter now. Okay guys, so we're in Chapter 5, and as you can see, we've got the looking glass, and it says, she will leave you for dead. That's the first message we see, which of course is Henry saying every single time he does in fact get left for dead by Alison Angel. I believe that version of Alice, despite the listing on the end credits, is Alison, and I believe the version of Tom was Thomas Connor, as we theorised many months ago. And there's actually a whole theory I'm going to do about the messages left over there, so I'm not going to talk about it today, but it does tie the characters of Alison and Tom together, because we believe they were married in the real world, as per Joey's letter from them at the end of the game. Anyway, as we turn around, guys, we see a whole host of messages from Henry. It's inside the vault. Of course, that's where we're heading to end the story. The final reel is inside the vault, so he's left that. It's almost like he doesn't remember how things end, so he kind of leaves these messages here. And also, if we look at these messages here, it seems like Henry's memory sometimes serves him better than other times, because he says, don't go through the door here, but then underneath, on another sort of run, so to speak, he said, what door? So it looks like here he's put loads of messages in, and they're all from different sort of experiences as he's gone through the story. Sometimes he remembers stuff, sometimes he doesn't. He's put I know the way here, which is a map of towards the end of the game in the vault. So many questions. There's the boat there, of course. Some stars. It says trust her. I'm guessing that's to do with Alison. And then it says follow me here. Now, before we follow his messages, we have a skull here, and below the skull, a coffin. Now, I believe this symbolises that Henry is in fact dead himself, and is now living inside the cartoon world. He's saying to himself, I'm not alive in human form anymore, I'm trapped in the cartoon world here. Now, if we follow these trails, it says take the spoon, and we get arrows directing us to the spoon here. So this kind of proves that it is Henry leaving the messages, and that he has gone through this experience time and time again. And here it says, look inside, you'll need this. And this just proves again, there's no way he would know there was a wrench there unless he'd done this before. So he's left himself a way out. Now, if we look at his drawings here, at Henry's sketches, he's put the message, you draw beautifully. So he's given himself a little compliment there, which is kind of a bit egotistical, but at the same time, he's just complimenting himself. Hasn't got much else to live for at the moment, has he? There's not really anything else in this room, guys, apart from the big fish here, which is an Easter egg in reference to Book Past, who seems to be a lovely guy. I've chatted with him on Twitter a few times. He's one of the team involved in making the game, I believe the creative director. And that's the Book Past fish there. So that's a little reference to a member of the team. Now, if we go through here, guys, we'll see another message just on the wall. Just says follow me. It's just Henry leading himself down the path. So we'll skip ahead to the next message now, guys. Okay, guys, so as we go through the caverns here and we emerge where Alison and Tom are taking the barge away downstream, before we get on our barge, we can actually look down at the floor and it will say there's something in the river. So Henry's warning himself about a giant sort of Bendy creature that's living beneath the surface of the river. Of course, it may not be Bendy himself, but I believe it could be a morphed version of Bendy. We've seen at the end of this chapter that Bendy can evolve. Right, so we're just arriving inside the village of the Lost Ones, the little shanty town beneath the studios. There's actually a couple of messages here, guys, that we can pick up on. The first one is over here on this house, and it says, you bring death, with a skull on the U. So obviously Henry's sort of saying, you know, by coming here we're going to end up fighting all of the lost ones living here, which would just workers of the studio, and end up harming them. And he's even written above the not monsters sign, he's put over the top of that, "Once people now fallen into despair." And you can see it's kind of like a little shrine to the lost ones here with all their handprints on there. And I believe that's they're the only ones I can find in this area. The only messages I can find. There may be more hidden around here, but that's all I could see personally. So we'll move on to the next section. Now, after we fall down this giant pit, which obviously we know now Henry can survive because he's in a cartoon world, which is why he can keep surviving these massive drops. If we look here, we can see another message which says it's inside the vault. It's Henry just leading himself towards his final objective. Okay guys, so we've got to the office of Joey Drew now. Now once we go into this room, there's actually a secret message within Joey's office, which we can see when we look at the wall behind us, guys. As we come through that door, look at the wall behind us, and it says, "Who is the man behind the monster?" It's asking the question, who is Joey really, you know? Who is the man behind the monster? And we finally get to find out with this audio log. We find out that it is Joey that obviously fooled Suzie Campbell into becoming Alice Angel, the first experiment of many at the studio. Joey Drew truly was a monstrous man. As we come through to the vault area here, and if we go over to the back wall, you'll see another secret message which says the demon has taken it, because once we go inside the box below, you'll see that it's actually empty.
Looks like whatever was here was taken long ago.
Okay guys, so do you remember how earlier I said that if you give Boris the bone in Chapter 3, you'll get a secret to do with Thomas Connor's version of Boris in Chapter 5? Well, this is the secret. You see, he's actually got a bone in his mouth once again. But it's kind of like the ghost of a bone, I suppose. And I guess this is Henry just contemplating on the fact that this Boris reminds him a little bit of his, although the personality is obviously very different. I do think the other Boris was Wally Franks, to be honest, and this one is Thomas Connor. Of course, you can also see the little halo above Alison's head with this looking glass as well, which kind of shows that Alison is indeed the good Alice, if we didn't already know. As you can see here, we've reached the final boss battle, and there's some actual secrets during this boss battle, which just basically show you how to get the best route, I believe, to pull all the levers in sequence. As you can see here, we've got arrows which sort of lead all the way around to the different levers around the room. So it's showing you the next one's down here. We follow that round, and avoid Bendy. We'll go to the second lever, which is here. Henry's obviously just left himself directions here, leading to all the relevant places where the levers are found. And then there's a message here by this door guy which says, "Open this door," which is just Henry basically telling himself to, I don't know, pull the levers. I think it's more just there for players who can't figure out what to do in that area. Although the first time I played this, I didn't actually think to look through the looking glass in this part. But that is the last lot of messages in Bendy and the Ink Machine Chapter 5, and that concludes this video, guys. That's every message you will find. Well, at least everyone I know of, at least. There aren't any in this final room here, as you can see, apart from the arrow over there, which is just showing you to go through the door. So that is it for the video, and yeah, go and check out my theory about the ending of Chapter 5 if you want a detailed analysis of everything that happened. And I hope you've enjoyed this one. It's been quite a chilled out, laid back one, I think. Of course, if you have enjoyed today's video, guys, remember to give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this one, as well as leave me a comment down below and let me know what you think of these secret messages. But until next time, I'll say goodbye, have a good day, and I will see you on the next video.